All right, people. So today we're going to be watching a video about pretty privilege, people. Yeah, that's right. Pretty privilege. And this video is about how pretty people can manipulate us unconsciously. And this is the bias that we feel when we like someone. So this is why it's so hard to really read people, because there's so many layers of biases that are happening because we like the person. So this video is going to reveal why we have those biases. And obviously the way to remove those biases is just to question yourself. Ask whether or not this person is really who you think you are, who you think they are, and develop a meditation practice. But let's watch this video, and if you guys enjoy this type of content, click on the description down below to become a Patreon supporter, because there I'm going to be posting more reaction videos, okay? And this goes with the topic, and this YouTube channel is called Cove's Studio. First of all, if you have low self-esteem, don't watch this channel. All right. This channel talks about the physiology of beauty and the symmetry of it, and it's pretty interesting. Like, for example, I found out that I could be hotter if my eyebrows were lower. But let's watch this. All right, let's watch this right here, because this goes so along with the topic in hand today. Let's continue this.
What about pretty privilege? Have you ever heard of the idea that people are favored just because they're attractive? In fact, there is a term that describes this phenomenon very well: lookism, or appearance-based discrimination.
Lookism is we're all privy of it. In fact, the number one weakness of human nature is to trust appearances.
Is a matter that's actually well documented in economic, psychological, and sociological
research. It says
research
among those
papers.
types of discrimination, lookism or appearance discrimination refers to prejudice and unfair treatment based on one's physical attractiveness. Hell yeah, fuck yeah, man, it's crazy.
Actually well documented in economic, psychological, and sociological research papers. Similar to racism, sexism, or ageism, lookism is considered a form of discrimination based on looks, as described.
It's funny how that works, because there's a lot of ugly people out there, and we never march for ugly pride.
By Warhorst and colleagues. This is the first type of pretty privilege we're going to talk about, and it forms an umbrella that encompasses.
So the first form is lookism.
The following types.
My accent came out. Lookism.
Leotal goes so far as to link increased, repeated, and incident that forms from this type of discrimination with higher odds of poor self-reported health, with women especially actually reporting more repeated experiences of appearance-based discrimination. Especially,
which is pretty much what we talked about in this whole video.
In early childhood, this form of discrimination can really impinge on one's social life.
It says discrimination experiences in certain period, especially in early stages, can impact one's life. Wow. Those who are emerging adults are undergoing critical. Yeah, that's crazy.
Development, just like any other form, but with a more significant effect for social ability. Today we're going to learn about what is commonly known as pretty privilege. This refers to a social advantage like having a high educational or socioeconomic status that stems from being attractive. In this video we're going to explore the 6 types of pretty privileges as defined in the outside. And meaning
so the first one was lookism.
That they are more likely to commit norm violation in the psychology papers, and we're going to also look at its causes and consequences in later development. We tend to believe that attractive individuals possess desirable social traits. Conversely, there is an unconscious negative view of
damn, why you gotta play him like that?
Unattractive individuals. For example, we often assume that they are more likely to commit norm violations or engage in socially unacceptable, undesirable behavior.
Yeah, if somebody passes gas, who did it? The ugly guy or the pretty or the good-looking guy? The ugly guy did.
In psychology, this is known as the halo effect. The halo effect is a cognitive bias, meaning it's something that influences the way we look at the world on the outside, and it's often something that we're not even aware of doing, where people generally form
people in the left call it unconscious bias.
Opinions about something or someone based on their positive or negative predispositions. For instance, you might assume that a modern or attractive car is safer to drive than an older or unattractive one, although the data may not back that up.
Again, our number one weakness is trusting appearances.
When it comes to people, forming an accurate impression of an individual requires considering the dynamic interactions of many various traits. This means that different characteristics influence each other to create a final impression of a person. The halo effect leads to the formation of a positive general impression based on limited information from isolated physical traits. Typically, these are revolved around attractiveness, since that's what we can first judge about a person when we see them initially.
Yeah, the girl who I least expected lied to me. That's how it works. The girl that I least expected had a boyfriend. The girl who I thought that was the most honest was lying.
In other words, certain traits act as a halo, casting a positive light on other completely unrelated attributes. For instance, being physically attractive, which is the first thing you see about a person, may also cast a positive light on your impression of how intelligent they are.
And also, it depends on women, right? Because, like in the George Costanza video we saw, her being looking attractive as a woman comes with I think people think they're dumber, like, blondes, you know what I'm saying? But less attractive women, I believe, are deemed to be more smart. Let me make sure, let me confirm this. Are attractive women considered less intelligent than unattractive women? Let's see what it says. Attractive respondents are significantly more intelligent than unattractive. Oh shit. Now I'm trying to find our attractive perceived list. Okay. Found that women who had higher degree of creativity were viewed as more attractive, but that intelligence and emotional competence were not predictive. Okay, perceived abilities, it doesn't really show, I guess.
Or how warm they are, how charismatic they are, how capable they are. Completely unrelated traits. The opposite of this phenomenon has been referred to as the devil effect by Gibson and colleagues, and in one such podcast episode, we actually went into depth talking about something called the double devil effect, where being physically unattractive has a double negative effect rather than being physically attractive.
Damn! God damn. It's like the poor get poorer and the rich get richer.
Which has a single positive effect. In simple speak, it's worse being physically less attractive than the benefits of being physically more attractive. Where generally this means we judge less attractive individuals as less competent or less socially skilled, because this is the reverse of the halo effect.
Yeah, and it's almost crazy how usually the most successful people are usually good-looking people. Now, it like I said, remember how when you're good-looking as a baby, when you're a good-looking kid, and you're going to be treated better. And discrimination has a deeper effect on children. So if you're an attractive kid and you're treated better because you're attractive, that's going to have like a compound, like it doubles the effect because it's happening in your childhood and it's happening in your formative years. And that's going to affect your self-esteem. And self-esteem is a big predictor of success in life.
This is particularly important because the overall evaluation of someone as good or bad influences our future judgments of that person. Therefore, the halo effect lies at the core of pretty privilege. Being considered attractive or unattractive by society's standards influences most aspects of our lives, at least to some extent. Beauty also affects quality of life. For instance, attractive individuals tend to enjoy a higher quality of life, which is repeatedly reported in scientific papers, but also this one's pretty much common sense. This includes earning higher salaries, experiencing more fulfilling relationships, receiving...
Yeah, that's the thing. That's really... I can't lie to you guys. Attractive people just have more fulfilling relationships. I mean... you know what I'm saying? Because they compare, first of all, maybe I should talk about this in another video because that part is a little gloomy, to be honest with you.
Better treatment from others and having an overall sense of well-being. The most notable social consequence of being attractive is having higher self-esteem, which in turn leads to positive outcomes in various aspects of life. According to Leary and colleagues,
so another privilege is just better quality of life.
Self-esteem is influenced by how we perceive our value to others. This means that our self-esteem is tied to how others view us, evaluate and subsequently interact with us, which in turn forms if we have high or low self-esteem. In other words, our appearance determines how society treats us, which in turn shapes our self-image.
So it's a compound effect, right? Where a hot person interacts with a man, and not only is he interacting with the high self with the beauty of a woman, but also he has to deal with the high self-esteem. you know, so it's so they have a different attitude. So it's not just the fact that you are beautiful that changes the way a man sees you and how they feel about you, but also your attitude. And that is something that a guy, I mean, there is a big difference between talking to a girl who she considers herself a 10 and other people have confirmed she's a 10 versus talking to a girl who considers herself unattractive. I remember when I was in Colombia, I saw so many girls have plastic surgery, and I was asking myself, why, motherfucker? Like this pisses me off. I'm like, you're perfect, but the thing is, those girls don't think they're attractive. Like they don't think they're attractive, so that's why they take plastic surgery, and that's why guys like Colombian women because they're attractive, but they're not stuck up. You know, now some people might say you might be misconstruing high self-esteem with stuck up. I don't know, to be honest with you, but there is something about someone who doesn't really see how attractive they really are. There's a different sort of humbleness to them, as opposed to talking to a man who he thinks he's hot shit. There's a difference between dating him versus a guy who's the same level of attractiveness but thinks he's not that attractive. There's something different that you're gonna find that guy more appealing because it comes across as humble when in reality it's just low self-esteem.
As a result, it's easy to understand how attractive individuals tend to have higher self-esteem, and as a result, they are treated better, they see themselves being treated better, and so they view themselves as being better. On the other hand, individuals who are perceived as less attractive often face rejection in various areas of life for seemingly inexplicable reasons. While it is evident that physical appearances plays a role in romantic rejections, and romantic rejections has a significant impact on self-esteem, that is not the only aspect for how this negatively impacts less attractive individuals. They also experience rejection in other forms, such as platonic friendships, workplace relations, or just
So, yeah, that's so true.
being considered less capable by teachers, as is the
Yeah, because if you notice, the quarterbacks are always usually one of the best looking guys in the group. The best players are usually in basketball really good looking. Like even baseball players, it's because when you are an attractive person, people treat you better. And so you believe in yourself more, and so you take up positions of leadership more. Like it's a compounding effect that's like, it is unfair. It really is.
common example. Beauty is also very highly valued in the labor market, primarily for the two reasons we mentioned above. There are significant benefits to being physically attractive, and economists theorize this effect called the beauty premium, where basically brands, colleagues, workers, and companies want to capitalize on your beauty by essentially turning looks into money.
Yeah, and it's people just want to be around beautiful people just because they're beautiful, just for the sake of it. And naturally, beautiful people actually resent that because they feel like they have more of a personality. And the truth is, I really hate to say this, but it is true. At the core of it, beautiful people just. I want to be careful what I say here, but at the core of it, because you're getting so much positive reinforcement, you expect everyone to like you, and because of that, people like you more because you just had more experience of that. Where if you're unattractive, you experience more iffy, like it's more up and down. So it changes your attitude and how you interact with the world. So people just want to hang around people who are just attractive because they're attractive, but unfortunately they just have better personalities. They're more outgoing. They're more charming because they just had too much positive feedback. People, look at incels. Look at most incels are not attractive. Like literally, like incels are people who are not attractive, who are bitter because women don't like them. But usually it's very rarely that you see a model be an incel, because incels are just people who've been rejected. And unfortunately, that's a lot of guys. A lot of guys just don't meet these standards, and so that's why they get bitter. And a lot of women too. I hate to say that, but it is true.
Attractive individuals earn higher salaries compared to those considered less attractive. In one such groundbreaking study on the topic, Ramesh and colleagues demonstrated an average wage penalty of up to 10% for individuals perceived as plain or unattractive, and an average premium of up to 10% for those deemed very attractive. The challenge is that unlike other forms of discrimination, lookism is actually not considered illegal. Does the beauty
Not considered legal? I mean, illegal? I don't know.
premium apply universally, or is there bias, then you might ask? Well, for instance, one might expect that being attractive as a salesperson or a waitress could provide significant benefits, and discriminating based on that would not be unreasonable. Regina and colleagues found that the beauty premium can indeed be task dependent. In a
So, what does that mean? Let me see.
bargaining task where individuals acted as sellers of electronic equipment, attractiveness strongly influenced the outcomes of the sale. In other words, attractive sellers received higher wages compared to unattractive sellers.
Yeah, so whenever you see an ugly guy who's the best seller in the company, boy, boy, I don't know how you did that, but it is true. The best salesmen are attractive people.
However, they did not observe a beauty premium in tasks that were more intellectually oriented, such as, say, data entry or being a programmer.
Yeah, so basically, outside of the business, outside of the fashion industry and any industry that you're trying to sell something that's not intellectual, like school or work, that helps. Everything else, beauty actually has a negative effect.
Nevertheless, other research has shown that the beauty premium extends to tasks both related and unrelated to appearances, such as credit markets, professional sports, college classrooms, and even elections. Pretty obvious that
I
one.
mean, look at basketball. The most famous, let me show you something, right? The most famous basketball player, the best basketball player in the world is this guy, Nikola Jokic, right? Look how he looks. He's not that attractive, okay? Let's just be honest. He's not an attractive person. But the most famous player in the world is Stephen Curry. The guy's pretty as hell, right? Or another player that people like a lot is Paul George. He's not the best player, but people like him, but he's attractive, right? Now, who do you when you think of like basketball players, the two most famous basketball players who revived basketball, they were Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. Right? You see this here, right? Both of these guys, he's better than him. He, Bird, the French link, looking like a leprechaun, is better than Magic. But who do you think people gravitate towards most? Who do you think people think is better than him? People think he's better than him, when in reality, this man was the baddest man on the planet. This man was the baddest man on the planet at one point, and people still think he's better than him. Simply because he was more charismatic and he was more attractive than Larry Bird. When you think of Messi and Ronaldo, to the casual, people think that he's better than him. When in reality, Messi's better than Ronaldo. But who earns more outside of everything? Ronaldo, because he's better looking, right? Let's continue. It's honestly, it's one of those things that I don't like about human nature. I'll be honest.
Thus, the effect persists even in situations where beauty does not appear to play an obvious role, where we get into some examples of that in our video. Why do athletes have more attractive faces?
There you go.
Or do you
well, usually because they're in shape, and just being in shape makes you look more attractive.
hired more because of your physical looks? The beauty premium is primarily a result of the halo effect. Employers tend to assume that attractiveness is indicative of skill relative to the job performance, which leads to them being willing to pay more for attractive individuals. But it is also true that attractive individuals do have the ability to sell more simply because of how humans have cognitive biases towards other attractive individuals.
And like I always say, me and him, we did not make people. We did not make people.
One very understated advantage of being physically attractive is the ability to get away with norm violation.
Look at this. I just literally opened up an ad about Bumble Friends, and look who shows up. This random girl with the big hooters, right? And I literally stopped because of that. It's because people know the game.
Much more easily. Norm violation is the ability to get away with norm violations much more easily.
Okay, so norm violation. So that means like committing crime. So if an attractive woman commits the same crime that an unattractive woman, the attractive woman is going to get lesser time. But then it descends. If a woman makes the same crime that the man did, the man will get longer prison time than the woman did. And then it descends again. If an attractive man commits the same crime as an unattractive man, the unattractive man is going to get more time. But then if you have two unattractive men and one is white and one is black, then the black one's going to get longer prison time. There's almost like a descending order of privilege. And in my opinion, the last one is race. But some people may not think of it.
Normally attractive is the ability to get away with norm violations much more easily. Norm violations.
Oh, there's another thing is that if you're an attractive woman, a man will never think that you're gonna steal from him. A man will never think that you're gonna do anything shady. A man will have less trust man will trust more. A man will trust an attractive woman a lot more than an unattractive woman, simply because of the halo effect, or better yet, who he perceives to be attractive.
Violations can range from minor infractions, such as cutting the line, to more severe violations of the law, where, say, in a two-way car crash, the person who is at fault may just depend on who is physically more attractive if the answer isn't obvious. The greater the deviation from the norm, the more society tends to dislike the individual involved. When
that's... I mean, look at Justin Trudeau. Corrupt as hell. Even rhymes. And look how he looks. He looks like a model.
Encountering someone engaging in suspicious behavior, quick and critical decisions need to be made, such as whether to approach the individual or alert the authorities. Attractiveness plays a crucial role in those kind of scenarios, but as we've seen, it can also lead to inaccurate judgments and predisposed decisions. There are three dimensions in which...
I mean that's why a lot of the politicians are good people, good-looking people. Not good people, good-looking people, because they know the advantage that they have. You know, I mean, usually this is actually studies have shown this. I think that the best looking candidate wins. Like a lot of times, the ugly candidate loses and the best looking candidate wins.
Attractiveness influences this type of dynamic. The likelihood of committing a norm violation, the perception of intentionality, and the extent of social punishment. Attractive individuals are viewed as more likely to conform to societal norms. On the other hand, individuals perceived as less attractive are seen as more inclined to commit norm violations. This perception arises because attractive individuals are expected to behave predictably and to be well socially adjusted.
Yeah, it's because we already have a projection of them. We think they're good people, so whenever something goes against what we perceive of them, our perception of them, our brain blocks it. And you know?
Which makes sense because attractive individuals are treated better, so they have no reason to rebel against a society that treats them better. In contrast, less attractive individuals are regarded as unpredictable due to potential mistreatment or resentment towards society. We tend to attribute positive intentions to attractive individuals and negative intentions to less attractive individuals.
Oh my God. I thought of one scenario, oh my God, which I found so true. It's like, when you're with an unattractive girl, and the studies show this, that the more attractive the woman is, the less likely a guy it is to use a condom. What he perceives to be unattractive, the more likely he is to use a condom. Now, some people say you're so hot, I don't want to use one, right? Which is, I kind of understand. But also because you're so hot, I assume you don't have something, right? But if I think you're unattractive and I go freaking Mother Nature on you, I'm gonna think I have something simply because I perceive you that you may have some form of STD, right? But I just thought about this now, and it's like, dude, that's crazy. That's crazy. What the truth is that for somebody to be good looking, their immune system had to be so good when they were developing as a fetus that they have a high immune system in order to look symmetrical. But when somebody isn't attractive per se, it's usually because they just have lower immune system. And studies do show that, and I want to look this up because I don't want to seem like I'm discriminating. Attractive people have a higher immune system, right? I don't want to seem like I'm discriminating because I know this is but according to research, attractive people have better immune systems, right? Look at this. I can't show have better immune system. And so there's a reason why we are attracted to and assume that, and guys just go raw dogging on women who are really hot because they just make the assumption that they don't have something. And studies do show that attractive women have less sex, and unattractive women have more sex and more partners. I hate to say this, right? I just feel so bad saying this. I don't know why.
As a result, attractive individuals face fewer consequences for both minor and severe norm violations, which in turn contributes to a better quality of life for them overall. Generational effects are mating decisions that we make that affect the reproductive success of our offsprings later on. These are often influenced by physical attractiveness. The existence of these ideas in humans is debated but worth exploring nonetheless. According to evolutionary biology, a female's ideal mate is one with good genes, which in turn produces males with the best chance of reproductive success. We see this in most organisms, and there's male. According to evolutionary biology, a female's ideal mate is one with good genes, which in turn produces males with the best chance of reproductive success.
Well, I'm happy my mom is not ugly. Thank God. Holy crap.
We see this in most organisms, and there is good theory that this also applies to humans too. Therefore, other benefits that the father can offer are less relevant, including, for example, his capacity as a parental caregiver in comparison to his genetic strength. Therefore, what matters most is the future success of her sons rather than the success of her daughters, which in turn will have somebody courting them no matter how they look like.
Yeah, we're gonna finish it here. Let's keep listening.
More or less. This is called the sexy son hypothesis, which is pretty interesting, and we have covered this 2 other times. This was proposed by Patrick J. Weatherhead and Rayleigh J. Robertson of Queen's University in Kingston. And therefore, to guarantee that success, they need to trade off for highly masculine fathers, which are often poor long-term partners. This in turn produces very attractive sons, which in turn can chase after a number of women and be successful.
Yeah, it's you'd rather have a sexy son so that he could pass on his genes to a bunch of kids, but if you have an unsexy son, then you better start hitting up findawife.com because he's gonna struggle. Anyways, this is a long video, people. I really do hope you guys enjoyed this video. This was a topic idea that I had yesterday, and I just devoured a bunch of research for this. And this is the power of the female. It's not just a nuclear explosion that attacks men, but it also attacks other women and you. Like, the pretty privilege exists. There's a lot of cons to it, but there's more pros to it. But if you as a woman, you gotta make sure that you don't really you gotta hide. You gotta tone it down a little bit. That's what I'm saying. Because unfortunately, people just get too jealous of it. And don't get mad. That's how people are. Don't try to change the system. You can't. It's just human nature. So if you're a really attractive girl and stuff like that, learn to show it in the right context, but in school or work. If you want to be successful in that area, you gotta be a little bit more masculine and more modest. But in the streets, you can be whatever you want, girl, okay? Father Alex will accept you for who you are, all right? Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please hit the like button because this was a long video. Subscribe to the channel if you like content like this. Don't forget 50% off all of my coaching calls. No, all of my courses using the coupon code MINDFUL. And I'll see you guys later because Father Alex is tired.